Well, we've been quiet this last week on social media and wanted to take a minute before, we get back and start posting about business and some of our projects and clients, some amazing things happening. But felt that it was important to take a little bit of time to talk about the Black Lives Matter. And, this really hits home for us. We've been fortunate, my wife and I, to have some really close friends in our circle that have shared some really personal things. And, just as anything in life, right? I think it's so important that all of us really find a way that we can interact with people of different mindsets than us. The problem with most of us today is we live in our own echo chamber. It's comfortable, right? So if you're Democrat, you hang out with Democrats, Republicans hang out with Republicans, and we don't have as much cross-culture collaboration in education. I was fortunate to live in Argentina for 2 years out of high school, and gave me great perspective, living outside of America and what other people and other cultures deal with. And, we were at dinner, and before I get to that, a couple of years ago when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling down, I'm a big sports enthusiast, and I was really supportive of Kaepernick. In fact, on my personal account, I did a post supporting him kneeling during the anthem. And, half of the people that followed me were really offended by it, and half of the people supported it. And my take was a little bit different. I look at kneeling as something that's very reverent, right? I mean, being religious, we kneel down to our Father in heaven as we pray to him. When you propose to your spouse, you're going to kneel down to propose to your spouse. You kneel down for many years throughout, historical studies, kings and queens, right? You kneel as they enter the room, or people, dignitaries. And, kneeling is a way to be non-threatening, right? And, Kaepernick did that. And why did he do that? And I think the problem that most of us are losing sight, all the social media that I've consumed this last week, is a lot of the statistics are misleading. They don't really matter. They talk about, well, there's more black on black crime or more cops that kill white people, but that's never been the argument, at least in my opinion, my interactions, that it's those subtle things that are happening that most of us don't realize. And the way I can, I'll give a few examples. For me, as a male, if I go running, at night or in a dark area, I'm not worried about, do I have a ponytail, do I have my earbuds in, my music loud, right? With, as a female running, that a male's gonna abduct me, rape me, whatever. I'm not going to work with sexual harassment, on the back of my mind, or equal pay, and so for male and female, we can understand the differences there. And most of us may not have thought about it, right? As a male, you're not going to be thinking about what females deal with as they're walking out of Walmart to their car at night and who's following them. Well, it's the same thing, black and white, at least in the conversations we've had. We've had some really close friends. In fact, a few years ago, we were at dinner with a close friend of ours, and he's black and his wife's white. And he had talked about how worried they were for their daughter they'd be driving that's black. And you think about that, my oldest daughter's 16 and driving, and I've never thought once about her being pulled over and, would she be suspicious? Is she going to grab something, and could there be a life lost just at that pullover? And it's not to say cops are racist. That's, there's always going to be bad people. There's bad looters out there when people are peacefully protesting. But the fact of the matter is that, but you talk to black people and they've all been pulled over in the middle of the day in nice neighborhoods, and just because they're black. It's easy to say, well, if you don't do anything wrong, you're not going to be arrested. If you don't do anything wrong, you're not be pulled over. Well, that's not fair, because that's not true. A lot of times it happens because of the color of your skin. And it's those little things. We could sit here all day and give statistics about black on black crime and, cops have killed more white people than black people, but that's never been the argument, right? The argument has never been that. It's been that my black friend that's a realtor shows up and says, to a realtor, and the white lady says, when's the realtor going to get here? And the black person's, my buddy, says, I am the realtor, and the white lady dismisses him, like won't even talk to him the whole time. Or another black friend of mine that goes to a movie theater with his wife, and they sit down, and 5 seats away, there's an older white couple, and the white woman looks over at my friend who's the black man and has her purse and moves it over. And maybe these things aren't, meant to be racist, but it's those underlying communication, right? That when I'm sitting down, they're not moving their purse. And any of us that have friends that are black have heard story after story after story of these things happening. And that's the problem, is we need more education. I love that Ashton Kutcher said, it's not that that we're not teaching our kids, and teaching our family, and I'm not going to say just like he did, but he said that that some people won't. And how important it is more than ever, instead of sitting in our own echo chamber, that more important than ever, that if you're white, go out with black people, go out to dinner, talk to them, just understand what they're going through, right? Learn both sides of things. If you're Republicans, spend time with Democrats. If you're Democrats, spend time with Republicans. Spend time with people with different sexualities, and understand what all of us are dealing with. And most of this comes down to lack of understanding or education or doing research or just not being exposed. And there's been this move to defund the police, and I'm not here to solve the world's problems. I think we should actually fund the police even more. We should put more money. We should make it super competitive, increase the pay to a premium. So now you're getting the best of the best, and there's different trainings involved. And so that we know that biases aren't there, we can do that. And just like education, I don't think we should ever cut funding for education for teachers. They're not paid enough for what they deal with. Anyone who's had their kids at home through COVID knows that our teachers do not get paid enough for dealing with them. So why not, find ways that we can, as a government body, increase pay for our teachers, increase and fund the police department more with proper training and skills, and make it competitive. If it's competitive and you have better people applying for the job, not to say, a lot of our policemen out there, in fact, I have 4 uncles that are policemen, and they're great, great men. And there's a lot of great ones, but there's also some bad ones. I mean, we just witnessed that last week, and it's not okay. It's not okay that we're allowing this stuff to happen. So that's just my thought on this, that,